Welcome fellow Old World inhabitants to the Gaming Lords Leuven Warhammer the Old World campaign Prelude. Wow, that was a mouthful. Anyway, in this campaign we're testing out a new system in which two factions will fight for total dominance. As you can see, we have two factions. The first one is the High and Noble Fraternity of the Blue Banner, and the second one is the glorious and exalted Dominion of the Red Banner. Both sides have 5 players each who will vie for dominance of the Old World. As you can see, everyone starts with a hexagon on this world map, and the more battles you fight, the more territory you will win. So without further ado, let's go right into the first match of this Prelude.
Hello everyone, welcome to the first battle of the Old World Prelude campaign. We're playing a 1500 battle vampire counts versus Orcs and Goblins. So for the deployment, from my white side, 16 ghouls, a white king on a skeleton steed, 20 skeleton warriors, another unit of 18 skeleton warriors, a corpse cart, a unit of 5 Blood Knights with a Vampire Troll with the Dreadlands and a level 4 Necromancer and 5 Direwolves. Alright, and then on the side of the Goblins.
We have 5 spider goblins with sword bows, 17 black orcs with shields, 9 goblin wizards, 22 night goblins, 21 night goblins with 1 night goblin big boss, the black barbers on wyvern, rock thrower, Doomdiver catapults, and also 20 night goblins.
Alright, and Orcs and Goblins have the first turn. Let's get to it.
The Stone Thrower launches a rock at the corpse cart and rolls a hit. The Stone Thrower only needs to roll a 2 to wound the corpse cart, and he does so. The corpse cart has a regeneration save of 6+, but he fails, dealing 1 damage on the corpse cart. And then 3 more skeletons are being risked to hit on a 4-up, which 2 are being hit, and then they are also being wounded. The 1 skeleton fails its armor save and also fails its regeneration save. The Doomdiver catapult is also going to unleash its goblin on the corpse cart. However, it misses with 10 inches off. The goblin wizard is going to cast Vindictive Glare on the corpse cart, trying to finish it off. Rolling a 6 plus 4 is 10, and then the Necromancer is going to try a Dispel, which he successfully does so.
The Spider Riders are going to shoot at the ghouls, needing 6s. No, unfortunately. Alright, so the end of turn 1 of the Goblins.
The goblin units moved, 80s marched 8 inches, these marched 4 inches. The wizard also marched and miscast. This spell was dispelled by hits the cards. And the Doomdiver completely missed his target. The Black Orcs moved 6 inches ahead, and Spider Mobs moved and shoot all his arrows between the walls.
And that's it, I think. Yeah. Alright, going to turn 1 of the Vampires.
In my command phase, the Night Goblin Fanatics have decided to come out of their unit and strike the Direwolves. We actually made a mistake here by only letting the Fanatics go 1d6, so the first one is going 1 inch and the second one is only going 5 inch. That was a mistake on my part. The Necromancer is going to use the Invocation of Nahak on the corpse cart. He needs to roll his leadership, but he fails the first roll. However, he has the Staff of the Noiro, so he's allowed to do it once more, and the second time he manages to successfully do so. With the Dark Acolyte upgrade, the Vampire Troll is also allowed to use the Invocation of Nahak on the corpse cart and healing it to full health. The Necromancer is going to cast Hellish Vigor on his own unit, which he does so successfully, and it's not being dispelled. So they add an extra 3 on weapon skill and initiative. The White King is using his Ruby Ring on the Spider Riders, rolling a 9 a total. The dispel attempt is successful because the Goblin Wizard has 10 in total.
Alright, end of turn 1 of the vampires. Everything moved forward a little bit, except for the direwolves. Actually, they moved a bit to the side, trying to evade the fanatics over here. The Blood Knights, they marched forward. I made a mistake by marching, so the Master Necromancer couldn't cast any spells. The Corpse Guard and the Scantor Warriors went up a bit. Same over here, I tried to cast the Ruby Ring of Ruin, but it was dispelled by the Goblin Mage. And finally, the ghouls are marching, well, going for us ever so slowly. And now we're going to turn 2 of Orcs and Goblins.
The Goblin Mage is going to cast Bad Moon Rising on the Blood Knights, needing a 10. He easily gets it by rolling a 9, and then I'm going to try to dispel it, but I fail. As a result, the Blood Knights lose 1 weapon skill. Next up, the Goblin Mage is going to cast, here we go, he rolls a 7, but the Necromancer manages to dispel it by rolling a 9. Lastly, the Goblin Mage is going to cast Evil Sun Rising, rolling a 7 in total, and then the Necromancer is once again trying to dispel it, but he fails this time. The Fanatics have to make their random movement roll, and first up is the one on the left, rolling a 8 and going through his own Goblin unit. Dealing d6 hits on his own unit and rolling a 5. Dealing 4 wounds and destroying 4 Night Goblins. The other Fanatic rolls a 4 on his random movement and is going straight to the Dire Wolves, dealing 4 hits in total and wounding all 4 of them. The Dire Wolves managed to make 1 regeneration save by rolling 3 1s and 1 6. My mistake, the Goblin Mage had 1 more spell, which is Vindictive Glare on the Blood Knights. However, the Necromancer manages to dispel it. The Spider Riders are going to shoot at the skeletons. The Spider Goblins hit on 4s, hitting 3 times. And they also wound on 4s, also wounding 3 times. The skeletons make 1 of their armor save, but fail their regeneration save. The rock thrower is going to throw a rock at the Blood Knights. However, the first dice roll is a bit wrong, so we're going to redo that, and then a hit has been rolled, wounding the center one, and the armor save fails, and also the regeneration save fails. And then for the 3 others, they are being risked to a hit, but only get hit once, and it's also not wounded. And then the Goblin Rock Thrower goes flying, and he gets a 2, but he flies back with 3 inch, still scoring the hit, wounding him. And then the armor save fails, and regeneration save also fails. And then the 3 others with being risked to a hit, only hitting once, and is also not wounded.
End of turn 2 of the Orcs and Goblins.
Night Goblins pivoted a little bit more to the enemy. The 2 catapults shot at the Blood Knights, and they killed 2 the Wyvern marched flied a little bit in front. The Goblins also pivoted a little bit to the Blood Knights, and Night Goblin Shaman misspelled his missile, but hexed the Blood Knights and enchanted his units. And the Black Orcs walked to the enemy, and
Spider Riders
killed
2 skeletons. Yeah. Alright, going to turn 2 of the vampires.
In my command phase, the Fanatics have been released. The first one is going 5 inches and the second one is going 2 inches. We once again made the mistake by rolling 1 dice. Random movement of the other Fanatic sees him going 7 inches diagonally to the right. The Master Necromancer is going to cast Invocation of Nehek on the Blood Knights, which he successfully does so, and he gains back 2 knights. The Vampire is in command range of the Skeletons and is also going to try the Invocation of Nehek, but he rolls too high and he fails it. The Necromancer is going to cast Word of Pain on the boss on Wyvern, and he rolls a 9. A dispel attempt is being used, but he rolls an 8. Which means that the boss now has a reduced toughness and strength. Then the Master Necromancer is going to cast Van Hells on the Blood Knights, trying to raise its weapon skill and movement. He rolls a 7 and the dispel is a 6, which means that he gets it. And he raises both stats by 3. The ghouls are now charging the Spider Riders. The Spider Riders have decided to stand and shoot, but only hit on 5s, rolling only 1 hit. needing a 5 to wound, but he rolls a 3, which is not enough. Then the ghouls, they need at least to roll a 4 to get the charge, but they manage to get it in with a 6. The Blood Knights have charged the boss on the weapon, however by doing so they have ran through a Fanatic, and now we're going to see how many hits they get. 3 in total. Of those 3 hits, 2 of them wound, and then the Blood Knights still have a 5+ armor save, which they managed to make 1, and then they try the regeneration save, but that one fails. So one of the knights dies. The White King is going to use his Ruby Ring of Ruin on the Night Goblins, and he rolls a 9. Then the Night Shaman is going to try to dispel it, but he fails. Rolling 9 hits in total that are wound on a 3 up, but he only manages to wound 4 times, and then of those 4, 1 is being saved by a 6+ armor save. Now we come to the big combat between the Blood Knights and the boss on Wyvern. First is the Hero Vampire with his Dreadlands. He may reroll once and he hits twice. Then he wounds on 2s but only wounds once. The boss fails his armor save, but he does make his 5+ regeneration save. Then it's the turn of the other Blood Knights who hit on 3s and wound on 2s. But a lot of 1s are being rolled and only 2 wounds come true. The boss also manages to save both of the wounds with his armor save. And then finally the horses that hit on 3s as well, and then needs a 5 to wound, getting 1 wound in, but also being saved by the armor save. Then it's time for the boss to strike back. He has 4 attacks hitting on 4s, hits 2 of them, and then he also wounds 1 of them, which the Blood Knights save with their armor save. Then it's the turn of the Wyvern, who has 3 attacks and hits on 3s, also wounds on 3s, dealing 3 wounds in total, which the Blood Knights don't manage to save with their 4-up armor save. And they also fail their regeneration save, which means that 3 of the Blood Knights have perished. Then the Wyvern has D3 Storms, he gets 2 Storms and they wound on 3s, dealing 2 wounds in total. Failing both armor saves and only making 1 regeneration save. With the banner of the Count, the Blood Knights lose 1 wound less. Alright. Next up is the combat between the Ghouls and the Spider Riders. The Ghouls are going first, hitting and wounding on 4s, dealing 5 wounds in total. The Goblin Spider Riders still have a 5+ armor save left. He manages to save 3 of them, and then they strike back, hitting and wounding on 4s. However, they don't score any wounds. Then the Goblin Spider Riders have to make a break test, which they fail by quite a lot. So that means that they have to flee. They first roll a 4 and then a 5, so they're going 9 in total. The Ghouls pursue, rolling a 6, so they don't manage to actually capture them.
Alright, end of turn 2 of the vampires. A disastrous turn for the vampire count. What happened? Well, the Blood Knights, they lost combat against the Orc boss and got decimated, and then because I lost combat, I also lost the Master Necromant. So that's very interesting. For the rest, things moved up just a tiny bit because we're scared for the Fanatics. And over here there was the battle between the Ghouls and the Spider Riders. And the Ghouls have won and they have pursued the Spider Riders. So we're going to turn 3 of Orcs and Goblins.
First up we have the first Fanatic that's going 8 inches towards the Lord. He deals 6 automatic hits on his own Lord, however only 1 of them actually wounds. The Lord fails his 5-up armor save, but he does make his 5+ regeneration, so everything is fine. The last Fanatic is going 4 inches towards the Goblins and deals them 6 hits as well. With wounding on 2s and no armor saves, 5 of the Night Goblins die. Panic test of the Goblins with a 6, that's all okay since the General is very close by. Next up is the rally of the Spider Riders, which they make with a 5. And so they have rallied. The Stone Thrower is going to shoot at the Corpse Card. He rolls a 2-inch, so it's going to be a risk to hit. The Corpse Card is not being hit, however 2 of the Scanters are also being risked to hit and 1 is being hit and also wounded. The Skeleton fails its armor save, but he does make his regeneration save with a 6. I forgot that I had to make the crumble test since the Master Necromancer has died. So for the wolves now, which I roll pretty high. So then for the corpse card I have rolled a 7. And then the skeletons, they roll a 11. And then this unit rolls a 3, which is pretty okay. And then the ghouls, they roll an 11 also. And then once again the rock thrower is going to throw its rock on the corpse card and rolling another hit. And then also managing to wound the corpse card, which means that the corpse card has officially perished. And then there are two skeletons that are being risked to hit. And they are being risked to hit on a 4, so one is going to get hit and also being wounded. And then the skeleton saves it with his armor save. Then the spider goblins are going to shoot at the ghouls. They need 5s and they roll none of them, so no hits. Then the battle between the vampire and the boss. The vampire is going first. He rolls 2 hits, but he doesn't manage to wound anything by rolling snake eyes. Then the boss is striking back, trying to finish off the vampire. He gets 3 hits and he wounds 2 of them. Then vampire has a 5+ armor save still left and he makes both of them. Turn of the wyvern with its 3 attacks. He manages to hit twice and he wounds once, which the vampire saves with his armor save. Then finally the wyvern has a D3 stomp attack. He rolls only one of them that hits wounds on a 3 up, which also does. Then the vampire tries its armor save, but he fails it and also fails its regeneration save. And then the vampire loses D3 wounds less with the banner.
End of turn 3 of the Orcs and Goblins.
The spiders rallied and didn't shoot anything. The Orcs marched forward, the goblins marched until I walked forward. The battle continues between the Orc Warboss and the vampire.
Yes.
The Orc Warboss managed to hit 1 hit and the 9 goblins turned to the field. And the Doomdiver shots
The corpse guard.
2 pieces.
It's not looking good for the vampires, but we are going on. Going to turn 3 of vampires.
First up, the fanatics. Let's see where this one is going. And he's going very hard off the table. Then the next fanatic is going 10 inches towards the tree on the right. And then the last fanatic who was hiding behind the dragon is going 10 inches again through the goblins. Dealing 3 hits on the unit and also wounding the 3 of them without any saves. Once again the skeletons have to roll crumble and they have rolled a 9, losing all but 1 model. And the next unit of skeletons rolls a 7 for the crumble test, which is okay. However, the ghouls roll a 10, losing a lot of models in the progress. Then the ghouls that have survived the crumble test are now attacking the goblin spider riders, hitting 4 times and wounding only once. Goblin spider riders still have a 5 up armor, but they fail the save and one of the spider riders falls to the ground. Then the goblins are striking back, scoring 1 hit and that one also wounds. Spiders, they hit on 4s, getting 2 hits, but they only wound on 5s, dealing no wounds. The vampire is going to cast Van Hels because he forgot it earlier and he gets it with a 9. And then a dispel attempt is being made, but a double 1 is being rolled, which means a miscast. The miscast result is a 6, which means that the goblin wizard is going to get a strength 6 hit. It wounds him on a 2, but a 1 is rolled, so the goblin is spared. And then the weapon skill initiative of the vampire is improved by D3 and he gets a 3. Battle between the vampire and the orc boss continues. The vampire is going first, hitting on 3s, hitting 3 times, wounding on 5s, only wounding twice. The orc wall boss still has its 2 up armor save. He fails 1 of its armor saves and then he tries to roll for its regeneration save, but he needs to roll that dice again and then he rolls a 6, so it's all okay. Then the Orc Wall boss is going to strike back with 4 attacks, only hitting 1 of them, but that one also wounds. The vampire tries to save the wound with its armor save, but he fails, and then with his 5+ regeneration he also fails, which means that the vampire has died.
So since we're playing the campaign on a 1, 2, 3, my vampire is injured. He is. Nice. Now the necromancer, he's also injured. Alright, we come actually at the end of the game. It's getting late and, well, basically I've lost most of my army, and so we've decided that, Robbe wins the game with a big decisive win, probably 19-1. And, well, that's it. So, thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please give a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time in the world.